So, as you guys can see, I have two guests with me today. They are on that chat available. And we are going to talk a little bit about, CAT, NMAT, and beyond that. CAT is just a few weeks away, and a lot of you must be feeling the heat by now with the preparation in full swing. The other bit that worries a lot of aspirants is how prepared am I? This is a question that you must be asking a lot yourself in these weeks that are left. And for that, you undergo a lot of resources and try to gauge how ready you are for converting to a B school. This year around, the pandemic has made things even more difficult. Now, along with the worries of whether you are prepared or not, the additional worry is what lies ahead if you enroll in a B school. To help you out with your selection chances, scholarship options, placements you can get in the future, and how much is enough in terms of your CAT and NMAT prep to secure a top-rated B school, we are here with an exclusive webinar with SDA Bocconi Asia Center. Keeping in mind the concerns of many MBA students and aspirants, this webinar will help you find your confidence back. To talk about it more, I welcome the Managing Director of SDA Bocconi Asia Center, Allessandro, and Head of Admissions, Sukita Tapadia, to talk about the various aspects of a selection in a B school placement. The placement trends will also be discussed in the times of pandemic, and there's a lot more in offer in the next 1 hour. So stay tuned with us. With me today is there Allessandro. Allessandro is a board member of the Indo-Italian Chamber of Commerce. He is also a serial entrepreneur who has built successful companies in Italy, Spain, China, and India. He has also led businesses in diverse sectors, including luxury, FMCG, and retail. Sukita here has more than a decade-long experience in higher education space, and she has worked with top B schools in India and abroad. She currently is the head of admissions at SDA Bocconi Asia Center. So without taking much time, Allessandro and Sukita, I basically hand this webinar to you today to talk about the things that we just mentioned and more, and interact with the people who are watching and listening today. Before I go, guys, the chat box is open. You can ask your questions. Sukita and Allessandro will be there taking your questions and answering them. Go ahead.
Thanks, Paul. Before we start, can we just check one thing, if my voice is clear?
Yes, Sukita.
Great. And Allessandro, you want to do a voice check?
My voice is always clear.
As bold as ever. Okay, guys, have a good time. I will drop off. See you again later and have a good time.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. So I will start. Good afternoon, everybody. We're very happy to be here with one of our biggest partners. And I will start by telling you a little bit about ourselves. What is SDA Bocconi Asia Center? What is Bocconi? A little bit about Bocconi world. And then Sukita will take you through a little bit more in a bit of a more structured way on the admission, scholarships, and so on. So I'll tell you about Bocconi, about placements mainly. So Bocconi is a 120 years old university that has always been in the city center of Milan. And there it has grown to be one of the largest management schools in the world and one of the best. Largest because only in business we have some 15,000 students, of which some 3,000 foreign students, plus 3,000 exchange students, 600 faculty, 40% of which is foreign faculty. So a big international university that is ranked now by Financial Times number 8 in the world as a business university. Part of the group is the undergraduate school, the graduate school, the postgraduate activity, the MBA school, a PhD school, and a small school of business law. So within business, across the area, we're present at the top rankings in the world. We have also some 14 masters, all of them, almost all of them, in the top 10 in the ranking, Financial Times rankings in the world. So some 10 years back, we decided to open our very first campus outside Mumbai, outside Milan city center, and we chose India and Mumbai. Why? Being the first offshore, because there are many similarities between the Indian people and the Italian people, between Milan and Mumbai. We always talk about similarities such as the love, the passion for colors, for food, for fashion, but also the family ties, and thus economic structures of the two countries that are very, very similar. We are the two countries in the world where 95% of the GDP is made up by SMEs and family business. So a lot bring here. Not only that, there was a very good knowledge about India because we already had some more than 10 exchange programs with the top IIMs, ISB MDI, and one double degree with IIM Ahmedabad. But on top of this knowledge, we did a very thorough research, and we identified 3 areas where we could really make a difference. These areas being soft skills, corporate connect, and global exposure. So we decided to come with one of our best programs and to address these 3 issues. So the program was chosen to be the Masters of Management. So the program that we run now in India is the IMB, International Master in Business, which is a master diploma from the European university system. And it is based on the same curriculum of the Masters of Management in Milan, ranked number 6 in the world by Financial Times. So a very strong program already on which we worked a lot more for India. How? I told you global exposure, it goes by itself. We are a foreign school. 85% of the faculty teaching in Mumbai, they are our own faculty that they come from Milan to teach. They stay for the whole course with our students, take the test, and then they go back. Not only that, but our students, the class is merged with the same class of the double degree from ESSEC Paris and Bocconi Milan. So our students are in the same classes at the beginning of the first year with Italian, French, German, and Spanish students. Not only that, here comes the highlight of the program for most of the students is the compulsory exchange semester, compulsory specialization semester in Milan. So everybody gets to go to Milan. Not only that, and this is unique in India, everybody gets to choose the specialization that they want. You don't need to be the top 10% of the class. No, everybody. Why? Because we have some 300 electives back in Milan where you can choose. We choose 70 for you, which we streamline in some 10 different specializations. And if you take 4 exams in Milan in that vertical, you will get your master diploma with the specialization in that vertical. This is for global exposure. Corporate Connect for us is extremely important, and you will see what it means. What it means in the curricula and what it means in the guest lecturers that come. Bocconi is #1 in Europe and #1 in the world of non-English speaking countries for research. So all our curricula are based on our own research that gets updated every year. So you will find the most updated curricula that you can even imagine. I always tell you, please, if you have any doubts, come, ask. We will host you for 1 day in our classes to see how the faculty teaches and what they teach is just something else, another league. This because we do research with the corporates. Even in Mumbai, we already have 5 centers of research where students can also help and get in touch with the corporates at research level, and then live projects, and then we do joint events with the corporates, and then we have for sure the internships and the final placement. So the interaction with the corporates is really very big, and every given day of the year, we always have a CXO level guest speaker that is coordinated with the faculty in order to deliver the classes together with our faculty. They give you the Indian example, they give you their own experience. So this is always at CXO level. So it's the teaching is quite something. In terms, if you want to have some more information about the faculty, you know, another ranking that I always talk about is the one in executive custom training. We're number 4 in the world. This means that our faculty, they are the 4 best in the world to teach to corporate high executives. Okay, so not only they're very strong to teach them, but the connection they have with them is unique. That's why they're always on campus for guest lectures, for mentoring, and so on. So that was Corporate Connect, the second pillar. The third pillar, soft skills. If you decide to apply with us, you will see that I will repeat this over and over. In academics, as I've told you, we're extremely strong, so no doubts there. But the difference nowadays, you make it in soft skills. The world is changing very fast. India is changing even faster. So by the time you get out of university, what you studied the first year, I'm pretty sure it's already old. Okay, so you need to be able to yourself, number one, be curious and a learner, but also have that attitude of thinking out of the box, good at communication skills, understanding what the people want, and good at communicating to them, good at managing teams. We are churning out managers. Managers are people that manage teams. So that's the difference. How do we do that? It's so important for us that for sure, already at the time of selection, we are a profile-based school in the real term that it means. So while for sure, Sukita will tell you all the specifics on which we base our selections, but in the end, the interview is extremely important. The soft skills are important from the selection. Then, even before starting the program, you will have a boot camp, which is a week where there's a series of tests, of self-assessment tests that will tell you where you're strong at, where you're weak at, and then during the next 2 years, all our extracurricular activities that are very heavy, they will be on one-on-one interaction with our CDS team at building the curriculum, your CV that will be the suitable one for that career, where you will be delivering the best and where you will have the most fun. Okay, that includes also a lot of certifications which we give to the students, always at the top. Like, for example, business analytics, we gave it for free to our students this year, the certification with EY. Then we have the Six Sigma with KPMG. Then we have, and so on. We have a number of certification, we have a number of activities, and we have a lot of corporate speakers. Even in the bootcamp, part of the bootcamp activity is also that, to make you understand the real beginning, what does it mean to do investment banking? What do? I go, and what do I do? And what is the career? So for that, we have invited the executive director of Nomura Investment Banking. Likewise for HR. For HR, we had invited the global CHRO of KPMG, Unmesh Pawar, and so on for each sector. That to tell you that while academics are extremely important for us, extracurricular soft skills are extremely important. Our students manage, for example, the big TEDx Gateway, the largest TEDx in Asia, 6,500 people. The logistics are handled by our students, and the marketing also. We are the Asia regional host of the HALT Prize. We are one of the best Toastmasters club in Western India, and I'm not saying academic from a business school. I say all over, from the corporates also. The best achieving 360 consulting team with 100 projects carried out. So it's the whole life at the school will change your life, will change your way of thinking, you will change your attitudes towards career. So I think I've said too much. Very quickly, I'll talk about the placement, which is normally the first thing we are asked, and then let Sukita go deeper into the admission process. So placement, as I've told you, we're very much in contact with the corporates, and we don't do a normal placement. While we do have a day zero where we have a few companies coming, our placement both for summer and final, is placed along a few months, okay? Because it comes out from a 2 years activity of extracurricular effort with you, where we really understand deeply who you are, what you like, and which kind of company you will match better with. The same is transferred to the companies with all the interactions that you have with them. So I can just tell you that we have had now 7 campus placement in India. It's always been 100% placement with growing packages, especially the last 3 years. We've been growing year on year by minimum 25% average package from 1 year to the other. In terms of brands, we have all the best brands that you can think. In terms of sectors, we follow a lot also the desires. As I've told you, we tend to match the right students with the right corporates. So we tend to match what are the desires of the students. So while when we started, there was a lot of investment banking, we had that. Then suddenly we had a lot of business analytics coming up. So we moved a little bit there. Then it was the period of operations. Then we moved there. The last 2 years, there's been a lot of coming up of consulting. And so then we went there. And just to give you an example, it was a coming up of consulting. So we have now people being placed in EY, in PwC, in KPMG, then Universal Consulting, and then a series of smaller boutique consulting companies. And also for HR, we have both HR in the corporates and HR consulting. So that to say that we place a lot of attention on the placement, but it comes from the very first day you come on board. And our students have an average of stay in the first job, which is way beyond those 8 months that is the average in India, because of the matching, which in turn churns out careers that are much faster. Our students, especially where you have an international career path that is possible, they start being sent abroad because they've been trained to be a global manager, to handle global teams. And right now we have our alumni that are in Hong Kong, in Germany, in Netherlands, in Canada, in UK, in Italy, in France, in Germany. So I really think, and you've seen my presentation comes out a little bit confused because it comes out of passion, but we're excited. We're excited. The first 3 years, I remember it was quite tough, but now it's amazing what is happening. It's amazing what is happening both with our students from the main program, with executive training, which has been developed a lot, and in turn helps the placement of the students. So I think now it's time for Sukita to give a little bit more of structure to this presentation. But I'll be there if you want some more, if you have some more questions about the Bocconi Award or about placement. Sukita, if you are there.
Yes, great. Audible?
Yes.
Perfect. So I think, thank you so much, Allessandro. I see that, all of you guys are already asking questions related to the admission process. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly tell you about the overall admission process at SDA Bocconi Asia Center, followed by the scholarship chances, and then followed by some of the questions that you guys have asked. So what I would suggest is while I'm speaking, please go ahead and post your questions. Feel free to ask us about anything that you might have in mind if you're considering SDA Bocconi Asia as one of your options. Now, starting with the admission process, like Allessandro said, we have a strong focus on the profile of a candidate. Therefore, our selection process also considers 4 main elements. The first thing that we look at is your academic consistency, which means we look at your 10th, 12th, and graduation, and the overall average as well as consistency in this. Now, what is a good academic score? A good academic average can be, say, around 10th, 12th, and graduation average around 85 and above. If this happens, at least in this factor, you're more or less sorted. Now let's look at the second factor. The second factor that we look at is your test scores. Now, to give you an idea, we accept NMAT, CAT, GMAT, GRE. All students can also opt for our Bocconi test. Now, NMAT, a good score for us is 200. Please note, we do not have cutoffs. So when I'm mentioning these scores, these are not really cutoffs. These are indicative scores that if you have scores here above, or maybe even if below, but the other factors are strong, you will still have a chance at a shortlist. For example, as I said, for NMAT, it's around, say, 200 plus, CAT around 85 plus, GMAT around 640 plus, GRE around 310 plus. Or in case if your scores are not in this range, you can also opt to take Bocconi test. So this is just to give you an indicative idea. Now, what happens, let's say, if your NMAT is, let's say, not 200, but 195, it doesn't mean that you will not have a shot at shortlisting. What it means is that if your NMAT is 195, but if you have really good academics, or if you have very good extracurricular profiles, then you will still have a chance at a shortlist for the final personal interview. The third thing we look at, and this is something very important for us, is your overall non-academic background. Now, this includes any internships, certifications, life projects, social work, sports, cultural, arts, anything that you've done in your college, anything you've done in your school that is substantial. If you've played a certain sport over a substantial duration of time, if you practice a certain type of art form or cultural interest, all of this will come under the bucket of extracurricular activities. Now, when we look at this, we don't, consider the fact that I have participated in this, What we really want to understand is that other than your academics, is there something else in your personality which will help us understand your overall potential better? Now, as I said, for example, we have students who have been part of a music band for about 10 odd years. We have had national level swimmers, we have national level, chess players, we have artists, we have different type of students with different type of cultural interests. So all of this, what I'm trying to say is that when you project your profile in the application, as well as the fact that when you reach the interview round, make sure that you highlight the most important aspect of your non-academic life, because that is something that is very important for us. And it holds a substantial weightage as far as our selection is concerned, which means the first thing, which is your academic consistency, then your test scores, and the third, which is your extracurricular activities. All these three things together will define your selection for the final round, which is the interview round. All these four combined will decide if you're admitted in the program and if you're admitted with scholarships or tuition waivers. Now let's talk about scholarships and tuition waivers. See, we started the school year in India in 2012. Even then, we were very clear that we need to figure out a way, being an international school in the country, and the country is so competitive. We wanted to make sure that from the beginning itself, we attract a certain type of meritorious student to our program. And that is when we launched the strong tuition waiver as well as a scholarship program. Each year, about 30% of our students will get either a tuition waiver or a scholarship. Okay. Now, tuition waivers are very strong financial aid provided by the school, which can range anywhere from 0, 30%, 50%, or even 80% of the tuition fee, which is waived off. To give you an idea, let's talk about a candidate who receives a 50% tuition waiver. A 50% tuition waiver candidate will look like something like this. His or her 10th, 12th, and the graduation average will be around 85 plus. His NMAT score might be around 215-ish plus, CAT score around 95 plus, or a GMAT of 680 plus, GRE of 318, 320 plus, or a very strong score on the Bocconi test. Something very unique in the extracurricular activity, and then an outstanding interview. If all of these things if all these four things are in this range, a candidate like this will have a shot at receiving a 50% tuition waiver. So this is how you can map. If you're slightly lesser, if you could hit the 30% bracket. If you're even better than this, you can even hit the 80% bracket of the tuition waiver. Other than the tuition waivers, what we have are scholarships. Now, scholarships are three. One, we have the Dean's Award, which is given to students with strong academic background. Second, we have the Women in Leadership Award, which is given to strong women candidates. And the third one is your Sports and Arts Cultural Award. This again further indicates how focused we are when it comes to the non-academic part of a student's profile. That's why we have created a separate scholarship for candidates that are strong in sports and arts and cultural aspects, on their profile. So this is more or less about the scholarships and placements. What I will do is we can look at some of the questions so that we can expand a little bit on about the school, about the admission process further. Well, as I said earlier, it would be great if you guys continue posting questions because it will make make it easier for us to help you guys better. Okay, let's look at some of the questions. Okay, there is a standard question. What is the fees? Just to give you an idea, the overall fees of the program is 18.6 lakhs plus taxes. Since there is a compulsory Milan semester, which is 4 months, I think the overall expenses, if you keep everything in totality, will go to around 27 to 28 lakhs. Now, this is the total fee. If it happens that you hit any of the tuition waiver bracket 30, 50, 80, it comes down substantially, or even the 2 lakh amount which is there for the scholarship. So what I'm saying is that if you feel that some of your elements are strong, either your profile is strong or your scores are strong, and you're applying, there will be a possibility of you having a shot either at the tuition waiver or at the scholarship. Okay. Process of admission I've already covered. We've covered the fees. Allessandro, can you see the remaining questions? Because some of the questions are not clearly visible to me.
I can't see the questions at all. I'm sorry.
It's in the YouTube live. If you click on the left side and go to the YouTube section. Okay. What is the degree awarded? If it's not PGDM, MBA, how do companies really look at it? So one thing you have to be very clear when you consider the IMB program. Now, IMB is a master diploma. It is awarded directly by SDA Bocconi, Italy. So if you really look at it in a very basic way, it is literally like you went to Italy, studied there and came back and you got the final piece of paper directly in Italy. So that is the biggest advantage here, because this is a European master recognized by the European Higher Education Registry based on the European Credit Transfer System. The overall course has around 108 credits. Now, how all of this is important? It is important because it will allow a recognition of the entire legacy of SDA Bocconi Italy, and the fact that eventually, if you do want to move abroad, the transcript process as well as the application process becomes easier because this is a recognized master. Okay, that's one of the biggest difference. This is one of the big key difference that we made 3 years back when we moved from the earlier PGPB, which was a certification course, to a master diploma. So that is the first thing. Second thing is, as far as companies are concerned, we are currently placing 6th, 7th or 8th batch, right, Allessandro?
The 7th, yeah. 6th,
yeah, so
7, 8, yeah.
Yeah, 7th or 8th batch, which means we have had successful 7 seasons behind us in terms of placements. We also have 2 lineage of companies. There are a certain set of companies that exclusively recruit with us because they have been partners with Bocconi in Italy for years. Now, this includes names like H&M, Luxottica. Luxottica is the distributor of Ray-Ban and Vogue glasses, Ferrero, and similar names. These are companies that are multinational. They recognize Bocconi because Bocconi is a very well-known university in Europe. And then when they realize that they have offices in India, or if they have factories in India, or they have any work that they conduct in India, they prefer Bocconi graduates. So therefore, there is this stream of one set of companies that exclusively recruits with us, or they actually prefer our students over a lot of other students. And the second one is what we have developed over the years, like basis the process that Allessandro shared. For example, as we said, that we follow the European system of placement process. We look at you, we look at your profile, we look at the target companies you have in mind. We backtrack your CVs, so that we're able to target these companies, and we keep adding these companies year on year. To give you an idea, 6, 7 years back when we started, consulting was not really our strong forte. But currently, in the current placement year, I think we have become really strong in consulting to the extent that all the 4 companies, EY, Deloitte, KPMG, and PwC have recruited our students for final placement. In addition to these consulting companies, we also have a lot of boutique consulting companies like FTI Consulting, Zenov Consulting, and ZS Associates, or UC Consulting. Okay, so yeah, consulting has become a very strong forte, but it did not really start like that. What we saw is that as we kept getting more and more students in a particular function, we keep digging more and more in getting those companies on board. Marketing and sales, by default, we are very strong because a good percentage of our students do opt for marketing and sales. 2-3 other streams that have grown substantially with us are operations, finance, HR, and each year we see that these streams are growing. Now let's assume if it happens that you come on board and you're targeting a company that we don't have on our portfolio. What will really happen is we will definitely try to target those companies, speak to those companies, and share your profile, talk to them, prepare your profile so that you are shortlisted by companies or similar companies. So this is something that we have practiced over the last 7 years, and that is the sole reason that we have been able to crack this tough market like India, not only in terms of getting quality students, but also placing our students very well. To just give you a clear idea, in the last 3 years, our averages have grown like this. We were at 10.2, we went to 10.84, then we went to 11.17, and now we are at 12.3. This has been our growth in the last 3 to 4 placement season. These are average numbers. Our highest more or less always remains above 20. Our median has remained in the range of 9 in the first year, moving to 10, 10.5. And I think our current average is somewhere around 11.7 or 11 or 12. Now, median is equally important because it gives you a much better idea about the overall placement balance in a particular batch. So this is to answer the question, where the student was asking in terms of recognition of companies. As I said, 2 different markets. We have a very strong foothold with the European or multinational companies. Plus, we have developed a massive network of Indian companies that again recruits with us. Now, this includes, just to give you a few names, Future Group, Michael Page. I think, so what I would suggest is go to the website and download the placement brochure. The names of the companies that you see in the placement brochure is for that current year. It doesn't include the names of the companies that have recruited before. It is just this particular year. So that will give you even a further idea of, the overall, the kind of companies that comes year on year. Okay. There is a question.
If you want to find the questions, I got them on my phone.
Okay.
So if you want, I can address Robin's question about the recognition of the piece of paper in India.
Yeah, I just covered that, Allessandro.
Sorry?
I just covered that.
I wanted to cover with the difference between MBA and MIM.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Together, okay, because that's quite recurrent to that you want to understand exactly what is the master, what is an MBA, what is an MIM. So I give you the global perspective where we have normally a master that comes right after graduation. So we call it 3+2, and a master in Europe is mainly for freshers, where an MBA normally is for 5+ years experience. So what we are delivering in India is a master from the European university system. And if you want to understand where we place it in our offer in between an MBA and a master European-wise, which will be exactly the same as an MBA in India, okay? But European-wise, it means that people have an experience from zero. We do have some 30–40% freshers up to maximum 5 years of work experience, okay? So that's the difference. In terms of curriculum, as I was telling you before, is the same curriculum of our Masters of Management in Milan, okay? But we have upgraded it. In which way? As I've told you, all the soft skills around it, but also in terms of level of the programs, especially in the hard skills, in the quants, where Indians are very strong, you're very strong, we have raised the bar a lot. The bar is at the same level of an MBA European style, so for people with experience. In terms of soft subjects, we know that in India we need some more teaching. So soft subjects meaning subjects like HR, like marketing, like strategy. There we have put, number one, more hours, which means that we cover the gap more. We start from really the basics, and we have more hours to reach almost an MBA level. So if we compare it, this master diploma from Europe that we deliver it from SDA Bocconi School of Management with an MBA, an Indian MBA from the IIMs, is at the same level. Okay. In fact, there are double degrees and exchanges. If you compare with Europe, it will be in between the masters and the MBA.
Okay. Okay, so we can look at the next question, which is on Bocconi test. Here, what I will do is I'll cover two parts. Question one, which round should you really apply, round one versus round two? And then when should you really take the Bocconi test? Now, if you look at our admission process, the round one deadline is 20th of November, which is, I think, 15 days from now. If you're considering applying in round one, these are the things you need to have in mind. You are applying in round one either because Bocconi is a very strong option for you. Each year, about 30 to 35% of our batch gets formed within round one. Now, these are students who've either taken GMAT, GRE, or have previous year's scores, because we accept 2 years of scores, or have decided to just directly apply to us with Bocconi test. These are the students who apply in round one. A second way to look at it is that, and we share this with a lot of students, like look at your overall mocks. Now, if you feel that your mocks, CAT mocks are 95 plus, or your NMAT mocks are around 210 plus, in those cases, we would recommend to apply in round two. Because if you're applying in round one, by the time the process is over, the results are out, you still won't have your CAT results. Which means by the time you have to accept the offer, you still won't know how you will score in CAT. So if something that you really want, then wait for round two. That we are very clear about, because once you reject an offer, you cannot apply to us in subsequent rounds. So therefore, this is something that is very important. But this kind of nullifies if you've considered all your factors, you've considered that I really like the program with Bocconi, and Bocconi is my top option. And in that case, definitely apply in round one. Advantages, of course, scholarships, loans, the total overall amount and the number of people who receive is slightly, it keeps on decreasing with every round, and relative competition. So all of these makes a lot of difference when you're considering round one. Early application, of course, has its own advantage. The second part, which I think, is also a part of the question, is if you're applying with round one, you of course will not, probably a lot of you might not have other scores. In that case, you can look at taking Bocconi test. Now, Bocconi test is a very, is a test very similar to your NMAT or GMAT. 3 sections, verbal, quant, and visual reasoning. Those are different patterns. You have to guess the next pattern. And it's no negative marking, computer adaptive, and we proctor it digital. We proctor it online. So the overall pattern, as I said, is very similar to NMAT and GMAT. You do not need a separate preparation for Bocconi test. If you are looking at applying through Bocconi test, when you fill the application form, just say, yes, I want to take Bocconi test. There is no additional cost for taking the Bocconi test if you are opting for it. There is a second possibility. In a lot of cases, what will happen is, if you already receive your NMAT score, because in this year, I feel that you take the NMAT and you'll get the NMAT score within 48 hours. You submit your application. A lot of times, the admissions team might ask you to take Bocconi test. These are cases where we like your profile, where we feel you have a shot, but your scores are not really adding up to the overall expectation from the admissions department. In those cases, they will say, okay, why don't you also take the Bocconi test and see if you can clear it. We only indicate pass and fail. So this is what happens if you are looking at round one, or if you're considering Bocconi test. 70-minute test, 3 sections, no negative marking, speed and accuracy is the key. Okay. Next question is, okay, the date and exam pattern. So exam pattern I've already covered. Date works like this. The sooner you submit, the earlier you can opt, the more flexibility you will have in terms of the Bocconi test. For example, if you submit tomorrow, there will be a little bit flexibility that you might get in opting for the test date. The last test will be conducted on 30th of November. But if you submit closer to the deadline, which is 20th of November, you will not have a lot of flexibility in the test date. If you submit now, you might have a little bit flexibility. So for example, we've already started conducting Bocconi test starting today. So it's an ongoing basis. So it depends literally upon when you submit the application. Okay, good evening. So Shubham is asking whether scoring less than 60% in any of the 10th, 12th and graduation affects during final placement. See, to be very honest, if you compensate for it with building up your profile with a lot of internships, a lot of live projects, and you make your profile really stronger, then it might not. There are certain companies, very few, that have certain prerequisites like this. But I think those prerequisites are mostly in the range of 50%. Having said that, as I said, if you still focus on building your profile with a lot of internships and live projects, in 80%, 90% of the scenario, the low marks in 10th and 12th does not affect so much. Having said that, it might impact your admission process. So for that matter, for, keeping that in mind, make sure that you compensate it with a good test score, or do very well in the interview. So this is something very important. with low academics, are we eligible? You see, our eligibility is very clear. 10th, 12th, and graduation each has to be above 50%, and the average of this has to be above 65%. Till the time you meet the eligibility criteria, you're free to apply. The college is in Bombay. Okay. The Milan semester is compulsory. Allessandro, do you want to cover a little bit more about Milan?
Yes, sure. So Milan semester is compulsory. It's not only compulsory, but it's very, very important, because as I was telling you before, there we have a lot of electives, and that's where you can really do the specialization that you want. Not only, but within the specialization that you want, there are very specific exams. So if you have passion in a specific area of finance or of operation, you will find the exam that you want. On top of that, is an amazing experience, because it's in a college that has some 15,000 students from 80 different countries. As I was telling you before, there are some 3,000 resident students that are foreign students, and some 2,000-3,000 exchange students from abroad also. So it's an amazing international experience where you study with a class that is really international. Not only that, but there are a lot of group assignments, groups of 7-8 people, and it's very normal among 7-8 people to have 4, 5, 6 different nationalities, which makes it is extremely enriching in terms of discussion, in terms of friendships, in terms also of network, which, you know, must be very important. Apart from that, if you listen to our alumni, it's also the highlight for the fact that you are in the middle of Europe. Milan is really just a few hours of train, I mean 2-3 hours of train from most countries in Europe. So it makes a great experience to really understand and visit and understand different cultures and different people. If you want me to go deeper to Aditya, a question that I've already replied, where campus placed is in Iranandani Garden, which itself is like a campus, I must say. Iranandani Garden is in Powai, hub of Powai. So there are some 80 MNCs and big conglomerates. It's laid on a central avenue where you have all the possible chains of bars, restaurants, shops, and everything. Opposite to us, we have IIT Bombay also. So it's really filled with students and students' life, and you can find whatever you want in terms of entertainment, in terms of sports, in terms of visiting. We have also the Sanjay Gandhi National Park with all sorts of leopards and so on, and crocodiles. So it's the campus in Mumbai itself is an amazing. It's an amazing campus, big campus.
Okay, there are a few questions which are very quick questions. I'll just answer them very quickly. Again, placements. Our average last year was around 12.3. There is a question that do we need to have mock scores to fill the form? No. When I said about the mock scores, it was just to give you an idea of which round to apply, round 1 or round 2. As I said, if you feel that your mock scores are ranging in the, for example, if your CAT mock scores are ranging in the 80 to 90 percentile, I would recommend applying in round 1. If your mock scores are already ranging above 90 percentile, then I would recommend applying in round 2. Similarly, for NMAT, if your mock scores are less than around 205, then apply in round 1. If it is above, then you can wait for round 2 to apply. Okay. We have heard that Bocconi is famous for luxury marketing. Well, that was the case about 7 years back, because luxury program is one of our key electives. So there are a few students each year, but not more than 2 to 3 students that actually want to specialize in luxury brand management. And I think we are one of the few schools that provide that kind of specialization, again, because of the Milan semester. Because when you go to Milan, you can literally handpick the total courses, the kind of courses you want, and build your own specialization. A lot of students, what they do is they have certain target companies in mind. Based on those companies, they go to Milan and they pick subjects that will really help them crack those companies. So these are some things that you will learn from your seniors. These are things that you will learn from the Career Development Services Department, and they will guide you of how to go about these things. Marketing opportunities are really strong with us. To be honest, in the first 4-5 years, sales and marketing was our strongest field. Then, of course, we built a lot on the other streams that I mentioned, which is consulting, finance, operations, HR, and so on and so forth. But like a lot of schools in the country, sales and marketing is one of our strongest forte. I think a good 35 to 40% of students opt for one or the other field, but then they also kind of also keep the other options open. A lot of students keep marketing and operations as a combined stream, and they target companies accordingly. Okay, I think more or less we have covered everything, and also we are reaching at the end of the webinar. Allessandro, do you want to quickly summarize everything and then we close the webinar today?
Yes, sure. Well, I'll go again on that luxury marketing question. It's as I was telling you before, we're very strong in many areas. Bocconi is a big. If you go to Europe, you say Bocconi, and in all areas of business is at the top. We have 14 masters. They're all in the top 10 in the world. For sure, luxury we're number one, but also in finance, also in many other things. So the specialization in Milan, any specialization that you look for is there. And across the year, as I was telling you, we're very strong in academics. Our faculty are amazing, but also the activities that we organize on campus are amazing. And always with very top people, especially in this period that we are in digital. You see our network, how it's coming out, and the kind of events we have. If you're interested in luxury marketing, for example, check out the link for the webinar this weekend in luxury marketing. We have the top in sustainability in the world, and we have the top in tech in luxury and fashion. So this is the kind of knowledge that you will be able to capture in each single vertical. Why? Because we have, which we haven't told you yet, we have very thriving activities of our marketing clubs. We have some 15, I think, marketing clubs. We have some 15 clubs, both we call them internal and external. The internal ones that are finance, marketing, operation, culture, and so on, they organize, we give them free hand, and they really make an experience of organizing events in that area, and with our support to contact the top CXOs in that area. The external ones, they organize events that are at the top in India. Our TEDx team not only organizes our own TEDx, but also the logistics and the marketing for the main TEDx gateway, the largest in Asia, 6,500 people, but also, I was telling you all the other things before. So that to tell you that SDA Bocconi is academically at the top in the world, and the experience that you will get in the SDA Bocconi Asia Center, the experience all together will be the top. We see students coming in one way, they come out totally different for the way they think, the way they behave, the way they act, the way they dress, the way they speak. So it's what a master at this time, an MBA should do. It will really give you that input, that leap to be a successful manager for the future. One that will keep renovating, one that will keep learning, thanks also to the amazing alumni community that we have, that have been just changed a lot. We had the handover from the managing director of BCG to the managing director of Microsoft as head of alumni, and it's 1.2 lakhs alumni in 200 countries around the world that cover the key responsibility positions. So we will still be there for you whenever you want to answer, to be answered the questions. What we have, thanks to Sukita and the team, year on year, we are named the best, the most accessible admission team in India. They are very good, not only at admitting or not admitting, but at helping you. So I strongly suggest, even before starting the application, to contact them. They will be able to guide you when to do the application, when is the best time for you, but also how to do the application in order to, one, have more chances of being accepted, And two, more chances at getting those tuition waivers and scholarships that are extremely important.
Great. So in this regard, I have posted a phone number, which is the phone number of the senior most program advisor. Reach out to her, and then she'll be able to help you, connect you with different program advisors who can then handhold you throughout your application process. Very quick question. The master's is recognized, in India as well as countries abroad. Selection process we have already covered. No, there is no reservation for non-engineers. There's no reservation whatsoever. Great. Thank you, guys. I think we have covered all the questions. Thank you so much. We hope this webinar was helpful. As I said, if you need any other help, reach out to the program advisor whose number I've shared. Her name is Amreen, and then she will help you further in either knowing more about the program or any specific questions that you might have, or about the application. All the best, and thank you so much. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.